Hey, what's going on, beautiful people? Back again, part two. Had some kind of technical difficulties the other day. Didn't get to cover an article I wanted to cover for you guys, so I'm going to do that tonight. Just kind of wanted to reiterate here with this particular article or this like academic journal, for instance. So this is basically off the Mulatto Bend area in Louisiana. And this is a dissertation, that was published basically examining kind of the historical inhabitants in this area, in this region of Louisiana, Baton Rouge area, precisely on the Mississippi River. So, what I wanted to kind of reiterate here, specifically what I have highlighted, right? The group studied here used the family, community, and financial benefits available to them as the mixed race descendants of European and African ancestors in order to set themselves apart from the larger enslaved community and to avoid possible re-enslavement. So when you hear people who make these claims and assertions that, you guys don't have history. You guys don't have history. Of course, we do have history, you know. Our history has been long established, even before the United States was even a nation, right? Even if you can see the dates here, 1763. So we do indeed have a history, and it's our job to lay this out and inform the public on this because they're not going to do it for you. They're just going to badmouth you, they're going to, you know, basically if they can't use you, if they don't get anything out of you, they're going to, pretty much toss you to the side, So it's our job to get up here and explain the history, like I said, and inform the public. So with that, the group studied here used the family, community, and financial benefits available to them as the mixed race descendants of European and African, meaning mulattoes, in order to set themselves apart from the larger enslaved community and to avoid possible re-enslavement. So a strategic endeavor as far as coupling and cohesiveness with the group. And of course here, the other major point, this is the abstract. I don't have access to the full article as of yet, but I will find a way to get into it. This is just kind of, like I said, reiterating from the other night. But I have another article that I want to get into that I wasn't able to the other night. So basically in right here, yeah, excuse me. Here we go. The community which developed was constituted of free mixed race, meaning mulattoes, individuals who were property owning Catholics who intermarried, lived in a single geographical area, the Mississippi Delta region of Baton Rouge, and cooperated in almost all facets of social, legal, and economic life in order to maintain their identity as a group. So these are our ancestors we're talking about, 300 years ago or less. Yeah, around 1763, late 1700s. Literally the same position that we find ourselves in today, wanting to maintain our identity as a group. Got to draw in from the history, look at the history and find if it's applicable to where we are today. Draw from that to kind of make your hey, what's up, guys? Everyone up in here. We got Hybrid, what's up? And we got Abby in here, and then we got Sarah. What's going on, guys? So, and then of course I can also bring up the kind of just guys have a general geographical feel of where things are at. This is the North American context I'm speaking to you from, specifically in the southern region of the United States, because that's where you'll generally find a large portion of us. This is Mulatto Bend region, Louisiana. So this is definitely, like we said, we have name designation. We literally have landmarks, names after us. So when people make these foolish claims, like you say with Google and YouTube, some of the other networks where they want to kind of shame, it's an offensive word. And I already explained to you guys, there's an area in Florida, the Mulatto Bayou. They literally have a petition out to change the name. And it's a monoracial person. Like, why are they, why are these people trying to infringe upon our identity? If they can't use us, there's a problem, right? This is what I find from my, my understanding of this. Okay, so yeah, like I just shared with you guys, Louisiana, Mulatto Bend. one significant area. So the article, the abstract that I just shared from you, was based off this region here. And this is like I said, 200 plus years ago. You had a significant mulatto community that wanted, was identity formation and preserving themselves, their ancestry, their culture was a major component. So when people tell you about this, you don't have history, you guys, don't have nothing, blah, 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 just bring this up, remind them of this region right here outside of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Mulatto Bend. Literally in the late 1700s, we've had a community there. So the next part, which I didn't get to kind of cover over the last time because I had trouble accessing the article, was Mulatto Bend Cemetery. Okay, so there's a cemetery here in this region. So it's interesting. They have a bend, they have a riverbed, and then they also have a cemetery in this region. So like we're saying, there's significant, I guess you can say, kind of mulatto activities, mulatto endeavor. Hey, what's up? Hey, what's going on, guys? Feel free to drop your comments and everything. When I'm done kind of with the presentation, I'm going to drop the link. So if anyone wants to jump up and add some words, I'd be more than happy to oblige. So briefly kind of covering through this stuff because let's see where we got. Cool. Okay, this is the article I was not able to pick up last time. It's based off the Mulatto Bend. Historian explains how settlement came to be. So this was published 2013. Carol Ann Blitzer, Advocate staff writer. During the period that the institution of slavery dominated the economy of colonial Louisiana, settlement of mixed race, meaning mulatto, okay, because mixed race is broad and ambiguous. It could mean white and Indian or black and Asian or whatever you want to call it, but we're specifically speaking European, African ancestry, mulatto people. Free people of color is also within that kind of broad term. Thrived on the west bank of the Mississippi River, just north of the present location of the western foot of the US 190 bridge. The community called Mulatto Bend originated more than 250 years ago. We have a history, people. That's what I'm telling you. When people make these foolish claims to try to kind of minimalize us, you don't have a history, you don't have a culture, they want to pull you in to serve them. You have to let them know, no, we have an identity, we have a history, we have a culture. We've contributed to the development of this nation and other nations around the globe. It's very important. You got to let people know that. Stand firm. Its residents were property-owning French-speaking Catholics who participated in almost all facets of social, legal, and economic life. So obviously Louisiana is a heavily French-dominated region of the nation. It was actually owned by the French, right? Up until Louisiana Purchase. The name Louisiana comes from King Louis of France. That's how they get the name Louisiana, right? And it's also, there's kind of a historical reference to that because of the Haitian Revolution, which a lot of mulattoes kind of led the fight down there in Haiti. And because the French were losing, the French already, with Napoleon, had wars in Europe. So they were kind of forced to sell the rebellions in Haiti, they were kind of forced to sell the property to finance their wars. So that's where they came to sell some of their North American territory in the United States. That's a whole nother discussion. So historian Lee Smith, adjunct professor of history in the Tulane School of Continuing Studies, spoke on the early history of Mulatto Bend at a lunchtime lecture January 24 at the West Baton Rouge Museum. Among those in the overflow audience were several who traced their roots to Mulatto Bend. Let me just check in the chat. Everything's good. Okay, you guys can see all that for sure. Biracial Becky in the house. Good to see you. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Development, this nation, and even continuing today. So we're drawn into history to kind of influence and inspire us today as we move forward, that we do have reference points that we can point to. Most definitely. Good to see you guys in here. So historian Lee K. Mulatto Trace Mulatto Bend Smith, who has her doctorate in history from Tulane, became intrigued from Mulatto Bend while studying the Spanish records of the Florida parish and the map from 1799 by Vicente Sebastian Pintado. In a bend in the river, Mr. Pintado put the names of everyone who owned property, Smith said. From the records, I recognized these as names of free people of color, meaning mulatto. I realized it was Mulatto Ben. How did such a community develop when slavery was so important to the economy? Smith believes that it is because of the French and Spanish influences of the 17th and 18th century. We all know that Louisiana was different. It was not influenced by British sensibilities, she said. Society in Louisiana is completely different from the way societies were structured in other American colonies. Definitely, as I explained, the French influence, especially in the 1700s, because it was specifically a French territory. So the laws were a lot different pertaining to other kind of British colonies. And it was actually one of the only states in Louisiana where a mulatto person was capable of owning slaves, right? And there's a long history of that we can dive into at a future date. To the French settlement of Louisiana was vital to protect the Mississippi River, the most important lane of travel in its territory. Interaction of the settlers with their slaves was governed by the Code Noir, which Smith said codified a French concept of paternalism. The idea was that the home would take care of everyone in it, including a slave. Slave owners could be brought to court for not obeying the established rules. Even though interracial marriage was prohibited, this French concept of paternalism, along with liberal ideas of race, resulted in a group of mixed race offspring of French men and African women, meaning mulattoes, who were freed by their fathers and often given financial assistance. Under the Code Noir, slaves could not be emancipated at will, but they could be emancipated according to certain exceptions, such as saving the life of one's owner or performing a meritorious act. We call this a meritorious manumission. Meritorious manumission is what this is referred to as. Meritorious means a act like your merits. Manumissions is like a reward. So if if you save the slave owner's life, then you could be granted your freedom and what you call meritorious manumission. In actuality, the code was often loosely interpreted. In real life, much is honored in the breach, Smith said. There were a lot of mixed race people being born and a lot of people being freed. Smith gives the example of Anton Richard D. Leotard, a white landowner who had a long-term relationship with a free black woman whose name was Marianne. They had a number of children who became landowners. Okay, their mulatto offspring became landowners. The paternalistic French society, as well as the close personal contact between owners and slaves, led to the two societies to take on cultural traits of each other. As a natural result, the free people of color who settled in Mulatto Ben behaved in many ways like their white neighbors. Okay, listen. As a result, the free people of color, you meaning mulatto people, who settled in Mulatto Ben, named after the people, behaved in many ways like their white neighbors. They were acculturated, okay? They were cultured mulattoes. They could adapt well and function well within white society and black society for all intents and purposes. Being versatile, the adaptability, is definitely one of the main kind of benefits, I guess you can say, for a lot of us. They have very much in common with their white neighbors, Smith said. They are French speaking. They have self-sufficient households either through inheritance or work. They are capable of taking care of their families. Following the Treaty of Paris in 1763, Spain acquired Louisiana. The Spanish approach to colonialization was different from that of the French. Smith said the Spanish sent a few administrators and soldiers, but for the most part, they wanted to work with the people who were already in the colony. Quote, their goal was to protect the Mississippi River and keep England out of the West, quote. She said, the Spanish treated slaves as valuable members of society. Although there was no intermarriage between white people and slaves, concubinage was permitted, Smith said, and under Spanish law, slaves could purchase freedom for themselves. Free people of color fit perfectly in Spain's colonialization effort. They are native. They are Catholic, she said. Many obtained Spanish land grants and others purchased property. One Mulatto Bend resident, Jean Baptiste Benville, became very wealthy. At his death in 1802, he owned property and 19 slaves. He was very civic minded. Smith said. By the 1930s, Mulatto Bend began to decline. Floods, Cervasis, levee, setback, and changing attitudes caused people to leave the community. By 1857, the manumission emancipation laws had changed so much, Smith said, it was made illegal. In her lecture, Smith told the story of the sister of one of the wealthy free people of color. She was sued by her first white cousin to be re-enslaved. Alice Garther, an expert of the cemeteries of West Baton Rouge, said most of the old Mulatto Bend community is in the river now. Interesting. The bend is very treacherous, and the number of levee movements had taken out most of the old plantation homes and Mulatto Bend, he said. What remains of the settlement is a street called South Mulatto Bend Road and a post-Civil War Mulatto Bend cemetery, where blues musician Slim Harpo, who also performed under the name Harmonica Slim, was buried in 1970. The road, the cemetery, and the descendants of the Mulatto Bend families are the legacy of the unique community. So that's it. That's what I wanted to share with you guys. Well, I have more to share with you, but for that specific article, I'll get to your guys' comments as well, for sure. But just for kind of a geographical reference. So I was reading to you guys from that article explaining this specific location. This is outside of Baton Rouge and the Mississippi River, Mulatto Bend. They talk about free people of color, the descendants of African and French, people, which they're talking about mulatto people. But like, again, they use this broad and ambiguous language, people of color, MGM, golden. They use all these funny phrases, but they're not really getting to the real meat and the matter of the point, what we're talking about. This is the area, so you guys can get a view. Mississippi River, Baton Rouge, right outside Mulatto Bend. It's Mulatto Bend right here, and the cemetery is situated right out here. So we definitely had a thriving community. So when people tell you there's no history, you got to point out this stuff. You got to remind them, actually, no, we do. We did. Okay, we did. So stop the cat. So I wanted to share that with you guys there. Read that article. It's pretty short, but I didn't get to cover it last time. Like I spoke about earlier, Mulatto Bend, Louisiana. I just showed you here on the map. Right here, Mulatto Bend, the Mulatto Cemetery. And then also we have the Mulatto Bayou in Mississippi, Mulatto Bayou in Florida. So let me bring that up for you guys here. So the interesting thing about right here is there's actually a petition. I'm not going to shout it out. I'm not going to give any praise or credit to the, knucklehead goofball who has an active petition to change the name. There's a person who has an active petition to change the name of Mulatto Bayou. They're saying it's racist, this, and it's like this person is inserting themselves in affairs that don't pertain to them. We need to keep the name, and we need to fight to keep the name. And all this stuff was brought to my attention by Flowers. So Flowers is a YouTuber here. She has a channel. Shout out to her. I'm actually going to share her channel right now with you guys so you guys can see. She actually started a petition, which already has 90 signatures already. So that's pretty impressive. And she just started the petition like a couple days ago. But with her advocacy efforts, she's definitely been able to push the needle, so to speak. So let me actually share that with you guys here. Get that going. Give her a shout out. Appreciate her. I got a video clip I want to share with you guys as well based on the name designation. Come down here, you have biracial content creators, right? Very respectable people who I recommend. Here we have Telling Stewart JuryNullification. This is what her name is Flowers, okay? Her channel name, Telling Stewart JuryNullification Flowers. And I think on the screen here, you have my email. So if you guys have any references, any research or data you'd like to share, just, send me an email. I'll review it, I'll look it over, and then I'll talk about it. So that's what she's done. And so this is her channel here. Definitely check it out. She's, in the southern region of the United States as well, and she's done an amazing job kind of looking this stuff up and sharing this type of information. So kudos to her. I really appreciate her advocacy and her efforts to bring this, you know, to the public kind of forum, so to speak. Because a lot of people, we don't know about this stuff. People aren't going to inform us about this. So let me share her petition as well while we're at it. Because like I said, she did start a petition. It already has, I believe it's like 90 signatures. And let me go through it real quick for you guys. And the thing about the petitions is like, I think it was biracial Becky in the chat. She mentioned as well before how the petitions, the good thing about the petitions is it garners public sentiment, right? So that's why the petitions are very useful and very strategic, is it definitely gets the public behind you to support your endeavors. So with this petition, Mulatto preservation. So shout out to her for really, doing this work. I really appreciate it. So I definitely am happy to share this with you guys. There's been a covert effort from very evil people who are trying to erase mulattoes from the American history. Stop mulatto erasure. We mulatto Americans have a vibrant demographic population. Reinstate mulatto identity to United States Census. The United States Constitution, Article 1, Section 2, specifies that Americans are to be counted in the census to be properly represented. It's the Constitution. That is a fact. An act declaring what person shall be deemed mulatto, 1779, chapter, it's Roman numerals, protected the mulatto identity. The 1924 Racial Integrity Act segregated mulatto identity. They literally threw us into the communita, destroyed our sense of identity in our community. The 1930, when they implemented the next census, because the census was 1910, then I believe it was 1920, and then in 1930 they have the census omitted. They got rid of the mulatto identity. They just threw our ass back into Blackistan, so to speak, right? Destroyed our sense of community and grouping up together, essentially to be absorbed. The 1964 Civil Rights Act applies to mulatto people too, right? You guys got to stop muling. I don't know. I mean, I started this channel to talk to you guys. You guys got to stop fucking muling, and eventually you guys are going to wake up. You're going to get your wake up call. I think I'm young enough. Okay. Some of you cats are 40 in your 40s. Some of you cats and gals are in your 20s or whatever. And I'm a millennial, and I'm speaking to you guys primarily a lot for the younger people. You guys are eventually going to wake up and smell the coffee. You need to stop muling. Be honest with you. Do the research, dig up the history, have some pride and sense of who you are. Stop letting people punk you and tell you who you are. You need to point your finger and tell them who you are. And so mulatto Americans haven't been counted since 1930. Therefore, the mulatto demographic has zero representation. That's a violation of our constitutional rights. Mulatto Mountain, North Carolina has been renamed. Like I mentioned Simone Mountain, named off Nina Simone. Mulatto Run is being renamed. Stop the segregation and erasure of mulatto people, flowers. So she just did this 4 days ago. I'm talking to you right now. It's October 9th, 2022. This was in October 5th, 2022. I signed it. I encourage you guys to sign it. I'll definitely have the link in the description box. Actually, I think I could put the link actually in the chat right now. I think that'll be a good thing to do. So you guys can use, definitely sign that, help us out. And yeah, definitely an honor to share that. She's definitely brought this information to my attention, and I really appreciate that. So that's basically kind of the call to action, what I'm here to do today, this evening. Other steps that we can do as far as like advocacy is to contact Google, right? Google and contact Wikipedia, and essentially how even the Oxford Dictionary, even through Google, to stop defaming the word mulatto, right? And we have to check these sources. Who are these people who have this label that it's offensive? Let me bring it up for you guys, okay? So, like I said, I mentioned this already. This is like the third time. When you go into Google and you type in the word mulatto, instantly it says it's offensive. But we're like, to who? Not to me. I'm a mulatto. I'm speaking. This is, to who? Who are these people? We have to see them. We have to challenge them because it's foolish. So it's basically dictionary definitions from Oxford languages. So Oxford is a source saying it's offensive, dated and it has, like I said, this kind of danger symbol. But who the fuck's offended? We know. I think a lot of us collectively kind of know, but we definitely have to challenge this stuff. So I think this is a major step. Yeah, like I said, so we, contacting Google, Wikipedia, and then obviously through Google is Oxford, who has it labeled as offensive. They're trying to remove all these, landmarks, so to speak. Like we said, in North Carolina, Mulatto Mountain. I shared with you guys Mulatto Bayou in Florida. There's an active petition out. We got to challenge this stuff. What we also have to do is promote academic literature that praises our name designation and that rightfully uses it. Because when I read to you guys a couple of those articles, they were kind of wishy-washy with describing us as a collective. They literally said, what they say, mixed race peoples or people of color, free people of color. They're using very broad and ambiguous terms for us. They're not being specific to our designation, right? So we got to understand that when we look at some of this academic literature, how they're referring to us as people of color and mixed race need to be specific. That's how I like to see things. So, and also promote music artists who proudly represent the name mulatto and who don't cower to the majority of their kind of monoracial black fan base, right? So I'm going to get into that. I have a video to share with Lotto, basically talking about that. But the main thing is to flag these petitions that are trying to rename us, flag these petitions, and then also emailing governors, state senators of their districts and then representatives of those said districts as well to stop the mulatto erasure. So I shared with you guys the petition, and the primary areas of focus are Florida. Governor Ron DeSantis is a Republican. You have Senators Rick Scott, Marco Rubio. You have Louisiana. Governors John Bel Edwards is Democrat. You have the senators in that state, John Nelly and then Bill Cassidy. Then you have Mississippi. The governor is Tate Reeves, and he is a Republican. You have the state senators of that state is Roger Wicker and Sidney Hyde Smith. Then also check in with the representatives. We have to definitely email these people, contact these people, let them know. We're not going to stand by and allow them to change the name to some foolishness, erase us from the history books. We're here now, like I shared with you guys before. You have, what's his name? Kurt Cobain, Smells Like Teen Spirit. Here we are now, entertain us. Nobody's going to do it for you guys, is what I'm telling you. It's our responsibility to do it for ourselves. Nobody is going to do it for you guys. Yeah, I can do that actually. You mentioned that. Yeah, nobody's gonna do it for you guys, man. Nobody gives a shit. If they can't use your ass, they despise you, right? It's incumbent upon you to do the effort, do the work, do the research, do the advocacy, connect, network with other like-minded people, and let's get this thing popping, right? Yeah, nobody gives a shit. If they can't use you, they despise you. I don't know what you don't realize that. You just want to go along to get along. I might sound a little condescending, but this is serious stuff, guys. We can't allow people to infringe upon our rights. And I'm speaking to you globally. I know I'm specific. I mean, the American context, right? Specifically like United States and the South. This is definitely a global effort because we are a global people. But I'm definitely proud to kind of speak to you guys. What's up? Buenas noches. Says here, Jelly Roll Morton, the pioneer of jazz music, was a mulatto Creole from Louisiana. No doubt. Most definitely. Thank you for sharing. I'm going to get to all your guys' comments. Let me play this clip real quick, and then I'll move on to the comment section. Like I said, I'm going to drop the link as well. If you guys have any kind of questions or comments or concerns or feedback, then I most definitely would like to oblige as well. So let's check this out real quick, shall we? So this is an interview, two mulatto people speaking to each other. We were well acquainted with her. Let's check it out.
Couple months. Which genre? I've been canceled by.
Twitter was different then.
It was different.
I wish people could understand.
But when you came out as mulatto,
yeah,
and that whole, because there was a while you were mulatto and there was no issue.
Yeah.
And then one day it was an issue.
Yeah.
And then the next day.
Let's just say fair use. I mean, it's Fox Soul. I mean, I don't know how you guys feel about that, but you know, I think just for this discussion, for this kind of edition, this broadcast, I think this is kind of worthwhile. So I'm going to continue to play fair use.
It was an issue,
Yeah.
and then you addressed it. It was an issue, and then you talked about changing your name, and then you dropped the Mu, and it's just Lotto. Why'd you do that?
Combination of things. For one, I never named myself. First, it was Miss Mulatto. Like when I first started rapping on the rap game, before the rap game, whatever, it was me.
So she said she never named herself. I mean, I would like to get more information on that whole situation, but I mean, obviously the way she talks, yeah.
Miss Mulatto. Then I got older and I was like, oh, Miss.
I mean, I teach people English, so as like a part-time job, part-time kind of, profession, I teach people English around the world. I have students from around the planet. And so I can't really, it's not ethical for me to disparage people on how they talk and how they speak because I'm a professional. So there are some things I would like to say about how she talks, but I'm going to leave it at that. I mean, she makes millions on how she talks and how she raps. So I can't even say shit, to be honest with you. But I'm going to continue to play.
This is like so childish. So then I was Mulatto. I'm growing up, I'm listening, to social media. I'm seeing the stuff that's going on in the world at the time. Like when I'm getting dragged and stuff, is like George Floyd and I marched in Atlanta. Police brutality is all these matters that's coming up, and I'm like,
Okay, that's kind of cap right there. That's cap, right? That's what you call kind of, caping for your fan base. You look at her right here, even the body language is so like significant. And she's talking about how, I don't know, I had to change the name. I was marching for George Floyd in Atlanta. You're marching for George police brutality, but like if you listen to your songs, you're very aggressive. I'm gonna slap a bitch, I'm gonna get the bag, fuck that nigga. The way she talks is extremely aggressive and kind of violent, so to speak. So it's kind of cute and comical to listen to her talk about this kind of sensibility, how she has this soft spot, police brutality and all this, that's her fan base, she's getting the bag. I'm not hating. She's a young woman, 23. But
that's probably not socially conscious of me. So I was like, I'm pretty much taking accountability for other people's
Racist or
actions.
negative.
yeah, and she's not getting into anything specific, so it's kind of a bunch of, jargon. But there's another part in this I'm going to share before I move on to your guys' comments. She said something that was very profound.
I know when you're an artist and you have brand partnerships and all that, that's not necessarily what drives your decisions, but you also want to be a good partner and just remove the conflict.
Yeah.
But I want to be clear. I don't think you did anything wrong.
I get a lot of that too, even from all types of different races. Even Black people, mulatto people, they both tell me like,
Did you guys hear that? How she literally made a distinction. She said that she gets a lot of different problems from different races, Black people, mulatto people. Did you guys hear that? Let me play it again for you guys to hear. She's well aware of the position she's in. She understands the dynamics. She literally made a distinction. Different races, Black people, mulatto people, out of her own mouth, which I do appreciate. That's why I wanted to highlight this.
The partner and just remove the conflict.
Yeah.
But I want to be clear. I don't think you did anything wrong.
I get a lot of that too, even from all types of different races. Even Black people, mulatto people, they both tell me like, I don't think anything was wrong with that. To each.
You guys see that, man? I mean, that's what I wanted to kind of really share, guys, to meet the matter. It's like, come on, guys, she literally laid it out for you guys, okay? She literally laid it out for you guys that there's a distinction here, okay? Even though she can play the game, that's her fan base, that's her market. She's marketing to the pookies, okay? All the pookies who they want the light skinned hood chick and all that. That's her market. That's her brand, which I'm not hating on her. Like I said, I can't say nothing about how she talks because, she's getting her bag. Shit. And there's like a track of hers that I do like, a couple tracks. But, as far as her being able to kind of express these matters as far as mulatto name designation, I think we can kind of leave it to some of the academics and people who've kind of been more well acquainted with this subject matter. But I do appreciate her. Like I can share, it's kind of significant because And like I'd say, she's not the best representative of a mulatto woman or mulatto people, because she kind of is too entrenched in the ghetto hood culture, too black identified. There's not really a lot of balance with her. Like I said, you listen to how she talks, kind of like a country bumpkin, but that's all I'll say on that, because she makes a lot of money. So I'm in nowhere. I have no room to talk about how she talks. But like I said, when you type into Google, you type the name mulatto into Google, she's there. I mean, she's definitely done an amazing job branding and with the exposure of the name, but she was forced to cower and change it, which was very, despicable in my honest opinion. This is your brand, who you are, mulatto. I don't, the lotto stuff is just foolishness to me. We have to combat this, okay? We have to combat the erasure, the identity erasure. They want to destroy our identity. So when you have, tech giants like Google, which is YouTube, which is connected people, okay, I'm speaking to you on a Google platform. They want to label it as offensive, not to me, okay? You're hearing me now, not to me. She doesn't think it's offensive, but she changed it, and she didn't really get into kind of the meat of the matter of why. It was a lot of kind of wishy-washy hogwash. She didn't lay out any specifics of who told her to rebrand. But I'm pretty sure there's some data out there to suggest why that is. So I kind of wanted to share that with you guys, because I wanted to kind of reiterate on an article I wasn't able to pick up the other day. I'm going to get to your guys' comments right now. So good to have you guys in here. Let me go back up. And actually, I think I can probably drop the link if any of you guys want to jump in. So going back up. James Maps, Magic. And then, so Sarah, you talking about people of European, African descent like me and us? Yeah. Biracial Becky, good to see you. I love the mulatto band in history. Yeah. And then we have here Nate. Okay, long time no see. Hey James, I know school has me busy. Happy to catch a live today. You are very adaptable. Yeah, the being versatile, right? That's one of I think my strengths for sure. One of the characters here in the space or in, online would, say Mighty Mouse, but that name's already taken. There's a MMA fighter, world champion. His name is Demetrius Johnson. His name is Mighty Mouse Johnson, Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson. So he already has that name. So, but yeah, we are very adaptable. So that's kind of the key things here. We're extremely adaptable to different situations, different groups of people we can navigate. Those of us who are balanced, I might add. Someone like Mulatto, Miss Mulatto, for her, she would definitely have to kind of clean up her act, so to speak. I know she's gotten like implants and BBL, kind of fit that image, but definitely the way she talks, if there's certain circles she kind of wants to navigate, she might have to change how she acts, and vice versa. So someone like me or someone else, I mean, I don't feel like I'm pressured to do that, to act more hood or something like that, like Drake. Or I think Drake's pretty balanced, but you know what I'm saying, like to get in kind of to some of those circles in the hip hop network. I don't know. I don't feel like there's any benefit if you're not an entertainer. I mean, what do you get? You don't get access to jobs or anything. Yes, I hope you get some rest and drink tea. Peace to the chat. Appreciate the topic you're covering. Appreciate you too. Thank you for being here. Mulatto Fairy, what's up? 25 Spanish and got to count for something. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. It's an honor, a pleasure to share with you guys. Like I said, this is a drama-free channel. This is an educational platform. When you listen to me, you're going to be informed. I don't have a Cash App or a PayPal anywhere on my channel. Not yet. It's going to be a while before you see that. When you're here, you're listening, you're viewing, because I don't really give a shit about the subscribers or subscriptions, right? The views is the most important thing. You're going to listen to me. I'm talking in the mic, I'm talking to microphone. You're going to listen to me. Even if you listen to a second, 2 seconds, you tune in, you tune out, you're going to listen. So, and I'm happy to have you guys here. So I really love Spain, England, and Italy. It's very cool. Yeah. And those are definitely populations with kind of a high percentile mulatto population, I might add as well. Definitely Iberian Peninsula. You got Spain and Italy, but then also in England as well, for sure. You definitely have a high representation of mulatto people, beautiful people. I plan on traveling, going to England next year sometime. So I'm definitely going to coordinate and connect with some people, conduct some interviews and stuff like that. So for sure. Then you have, hey James, a part of England. Did you visit? He said London. Yeah, for sure. Big thanks to Flowers. Love what she's doing. Definitely. Flowers is holding it down. You know, she streams pretty consistently. Probably every day. I'm not sure, but she's pretty consistent. And I tune into her, and she's, you know, providing a lot of extremely useful information. Oh crap! I got this banner here. Apologies, guys. So if there's any information you guys come across, share it with me. Right? I'd be more than happy to review it and oblige. So we got Hybrid in the house. Hybrid's got a pretty interesting, pretty exquisite stream planned in the next couple of days. So definitely check out that. Look out for that. Oh, it's Hybrid the Vanquisher. Nice. Typical, of course, you visited London, England. I mean, you, Sarah, of course, I did. It's the capital. Yeah, for sure. Just trying to get through these real quick. I'm going to drop the link as well, guys. I like that her petition is historically based and not self-serving, self-promoting, or without direction. It's right on. Yeah. And it's the historical analysis and also the kind of precise identification as far as the legality of things, as far as stating within the Constitution, United States Constitution, and the specific laws about being counted, calculated as a population, being represented with the government. They have literally stole. That's why people think they can talk to us however the hell they want, not only online, but here in real time, in person. People get very uppity with us. They think we're kind of a, they identify us as a kind of stagnant or a fragmented group without any real power or representation. Those things are changing. Like I said, it's up to you guys. Nobody's gonna do it for you. Okay, all your monoracial friends, they don't give a shit. They create you, but then if they can't use you, they're gonna throw you to the dust. You know, it's up to you guys to advocate for yourselves. As I've explained historically, like with Mulatto Bend in Louisiana, we've had communities who've advocated for themselves. They grouped together, formed communities, protected themselves. This is something that I would like to see in the future as well. Instead of trying to cry to be accepted by people, why don't we just accept ourselves and navigate towards that? It's blackwashing. Yeah, that's what you have in U.S. history. Contact Google and YouTube to stop banning a word when we type. Yeah, exactly. That's a major step. You say Google, which is YouTube, and then also Wikipedia and other sources as well. And then like the erasure with the name changes, we have streets named after mulatto, we have mountains named after mulatto, we have riverbeds, bayous, bends. We have to stop the erasure of us and our identity. We're already here, our numbers are growing. We have probably the largest growth trajectory in the nation as a demographic, and they do want to throw us into the people of color and all these other groups. We're not the same. We're not the same. We're very specific, and everyone knows it, but they're playing games with you. They're playing games with you, and they're not going to help. A lot of these people are not going to help you out. You can cry. I mean, you can advocate for allies, which is fine, which is great. I believe in that. But ultimately, you're going to have to let your voice be heard, because people are going to try to find a way to use you. Are you part of Spanish, French, Creole heritage and culture? I'm not. Well, I might take that back. I do have some French ancestry from my mother's side, which is French Canadian, from the New York area, but 25% German, and then 25% French Canadian. So that's on my mother's European side. Yeah. Okay, you guys are talking to each other in the chat, and then he shared this about the jazz musician. I appreciate that. So the demonization of the term is almost strictly indeed, because there were very severe, strict anti-miscegenation laws. They've always been kind of afraid of us as a group. They've always looked at us as a threat because a lot of the slave rebellions were led by mulatto people, obviously in Haiti, similar circumstance. So they've always been highly sensitive to us because they understand that our adaptability. We can get into white circles and network, and we have access to information that kind of a monoracial black would not have access to, because white people would feel more comfortable with us. Therefore, they'll be more willing to share information with us, open the doors for us. So we have more access to certain circles. And because of that, they kind of want to keep a close eye on us, so to speak. So there's more of a heightened sense of kind of fear as it pertains to us. So they've always kind of felt the need to demonize, right? And the method they're using to destroy our kind of sense of identity and community is to just destroy our name designation, right? With the 1924, we're coming on 100 years, the Racial Integrity Act, removing our name designation from the census, throwing us into blackness. But then in 2020, they reemerged a new kind of category, which is 2 or more races, which doesn't mean shit. I'm biracial, I'm mixed, blah, 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 blah. Doesn't mean anything. It could be anybody. You got people, I'm telling you, man. I mean, I was on a dude's channel. I'm not going to name his name. He's a criminal grifter. But he had a guy on his channel who was as black as the fucking Black Panther. And he was sitting there saying that he's part Indian or whatever. That's what they're going to do. Okay, you have monoracial people who are infiltrators. They will literally say they're mixed. They're just as mixed as me. They're biracial, blah, blah, blah. And they want us to serve them. And so that's why you got to be specific about the designation. You say mulatto, right? We are very specific about us as a group, as a people, as a community, as an identity. We're very specific. You say you're mixed, biracial, people of color, all this. Nobody knows what the fuck you're talking about. Yeah, I need to make that clear. That's why I had the emphasis with kind of the cuss words. But it was primarily black women complaining about her name. Yeah, I'd like to see some of that data for sure. But yeah, I'm pretty sure because she has her fan base. I think it's pretty wide, I guess, as far as the gender spectrum. But for sure, she has a lot of black women, even mulatto women who like her, which makes sense, right? Just like a lot of mulatto men would like Drake and kind of J. Cole, you would naturally have a lot of mulatto women who like Miss Mulatto. But yeah, definitely. And then, like you said, unambiguous dark skin, monoracial black women who are complaining, right? Which is, I don't know why they're crying and complaining, but yeah, and that's sad. And then you have That's Beautiful, Sarah. I wish I can see more biracial couples here. You will in the future. You already have. I mean, we have Hybrid in the house. You guys can say whatever you want. Hybrid is committed to a mulatto woman, so it's definitely a beautiful thing to see. You as well, Magic Mulatto. You are committed to a mulatto man. Beautiful thing to see. So I have faith in you guys. I have faith in all of you here. And we're definitely sharing information and providing sources and connecting with each other. So this is a major step. Come visit England. And it says between black and mulatto. It says, I will admit there's a lot of black jealous women here in the UK, especially England. Yeah, man, you'd be surprised. In England or, in the United States, they'll never admit the jealousy component. That's one thing you got to realize, and you have to kind of accept it. They'll make all the excuses about the buffer class, about working for white supremacy. They will never admit that they are solely jealous of you. They'll never admit it. So, but we know that's the case, right? For me, that is probably not from other biracials and mixed race peoples. Listening while driving, I think of Lotto just kept her name. Her fans would have gotten over it. Yeah, exactly. It's who she's been. Yeah, for sure. I felt so bad for him that I went over there and cheered him up. For sure. I'm going to take a break, guys. Give me a couple minutes. I got to organize something. I'm going to drop... Sorry about that. So I'm going to drop the link. Just give me a couple minutes and see who hops on. So no one's gonna hit the link. No one has anything to add. Nothing to add. I remember going to Birmingham, England to see my friends and saw these African boys who were bullying a biracial boy. Yeah. Interesting to see what the age kind of group was for that. But I know it happens a lot with the women as well. I was never really bullied per se. Let me actually turn this off for a second. Yeah. There you go. I was never specifically bullied. What happened with my journey was navigating into more kind of black spaces, um, getting more involved in kind of the pro-black, um, you know, circles, so to speak. A lot of them online, but I definitely navigated some kind of physical spaces, like attending conferences and stuff like that, and community events. And just the gatekeeping was really evident. This was probably around 2015, 2016. Yeah, 2016, 2017. And a lot of the gatekeeping. And it at that point, I was like, shit. It took me a few years to kind of figure it out, but I was like, this is ridiculous. So as a child, I never really had any of that bullying aspect. But I worked with a few actually in the security industry in Los Angeles. Monoracial black men. It's so obvious. A lot of them are just jealous. They see a guy like me, how I can talk to people, white people, upper management and just patrons, everybody, just general public. And they couldn't express themselves that way. So there's a lot of kind of, I don't know when you say like inherent kind of posturing of, masculine posturing, but wasn't, you know, anything productive. Yeah. So like I said, for me, I've never really had the bullying. I just seen a lot of the gatekeeping and foolishness. I was like, man, I already know, the next day you're all the same fools who are crying and complaining or hating. They're gonna sit there and be like, well, we're all mixed too. They're already doing it now. So I already knew this was gonna come. I predicted it. So I mean, you kind of said it. That's sad, Sarah. I think people think biracial is easy targets, because there's not a lot of us. Yeah, because we're growing. What it is as well is that we're extremely fragmented, and like Flowers kind of pointed out, is since we're not on the census, we don't have representation, we're not calculated as a group, we're just kind of thrown into the communita, and then we're essentially at their will. So as to be subordinates to them, we always got to prove our blackness. And when you look at someone like Miss Mulatto, let me bring it up, she is emblematic of that. She represents that. um you know she has to prove her blackness, right? So she's extra ghetto, extra hard, where she can kind of barely speak fucking English. Excuse me. I mean, like I said, it's not really ethical for me to say that. But that's part of her shtick. It's part of her act, the way she talks. Because a lot of these rappers, you look at the Migos and some of these other characters, they sound extra stupid because they're down with the hood. They from the hood, they're hard, and that's part of how it is. It's like the culture's backwards, like away from the standard. Speaking the King's English. A lot of these savages, they'll tell you, well, you act white, you talk like you're white. So they have to kind of degenerate and go completely backwards. So she's definitely fitting into that mold. It's part of her shtick, her mark. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I stopped proving my blackness a long time ago. Most people think I'm Hispanic anyways. Yeah, people think I'm like Puerto Rican or something. I don't know. Yeah, we get it from a lot of sides. Yeah, so I already dropped the link. Nobody wants to, jump up here. So, it's already kind of getting kind of late. I guess I can kind of end it on that. That's all I had to share with you guys. So, yeah. So basically, to close things out, I want to leave with this closing statement. This is what I want you guys to kind of think about this as well. So we absolve ourselves of the racial dichotomy of the victimhood narrative of the monoracial black and the status quo of the monoracial white. We embrace both sides of our heritage. We're not split between the two. We are the balance between the two. We are whole, we are one, we are the Mulattos. And I'll catch you guys next time. Peace out.